Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP Hunter Ranger build guide in Baldur's Gate 3, and we're going to be using Minsk for this here, but you can use this as your own character. My first ever character was a Ranger, and they're actually really overpowered compared to some of the other classes. They're the most slept on for sure. So for our first thing here that we're going to pick, let's go with Bounty Hunter. This doesn't matter a whole lot, but this gives us a free Find Familiar, which is nice just to hold aggro. Natural Explorer, Beast Tamer, something like that we'll just go with. And then for our ability score, this is where things are interesting. So Wisdom is one of our most important stats. We're going to take Charisma down a bit, bump up Constitution because our overall health is important, so something like that for stat spread. If you want, you can also dump Dexterity and use the Dexterity gloves, or dump Strength and use the Strength gloves, but that's dependent on what build you got. You can also use Strength potions too, so Strength is typically the one that we dump, and we could even just bump something like that up, but we'll keep it roughly around there for our first level. Now, what's nice about the Hunter is it has a couple different classes that are really great, so or subclasses that are great. Now, for level 2, we're going to grab for our spells. I like Ensnaring Strike and then Hail of Thorns. Those are just two great options that are exclusive to the Ranger. This ensnares target possibly, which keeps them in crowd control. And then Hail of Thorns is just a nice area of effect damaging spell, so we'll go with that. For our fighting style, obviously we're going with archery. We're a hunter, ranger, so we're going to be going with that. Defense can be okay too, but archery is obviously the best one here, so we'll go with that. And what's funny is when you try to zoom on a Minsk, he's too tall for this, so. Next is our subclass, so we're going to go with the Hunter. There's the Beastmaster, which I also have a build guide on. The Beastmaster is great. You can actually solo the whole game with Beastmaster, but we're going Hunter this time. And for our spell at level 2, Fog Cloud can be nice, especially if you have something that allows you to see in the blindness, so Fog Cloud can be very useful in that. Also, Long Strider is great, increases a creature's movement by 3 meters. This is a ritual, so you just have to prepare at the start. Speak with Animals, if you're the face of the party, can be great. Now, for our Hunter's Prey, this is interesting here. So this gives us a specialized in fighting style. Once per turn, if your weapon attacks, deal an extra 1d8 damage if the target is below its health point maximum. That's kind of the better one, I would say. If a larger or bigger creature attacks you, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack. Prerequisite, you must be able to see the creature and be within 1.5 meters. Horde Breaker, target 2 creatures standing close to each other, attack them in quick succession. Either of these are great, so it's kind of tricky. We'll go with Horde Breaker. This gives us the ability to choose 2 enemies, and no one else really gets to that at level 3, so early on in the game this is very powerful. The Colossus Slayer is great as well, but that's what we're going to go with for our level 3 Hunter. So where this build really comes alive is level 11, and I want to add in a nice little twist here, so once we get a little further you'll see that. For our first feat, this can go either 2 ways. So Sharpshooter is really nice. Your ranged weapon attacks do not receive penalty from high grounds, and ranged weapons have a -5 to their attack roll but deal an additional 10 damage. This is really great for just overall damaging enemies, so I think that's typically what we're going to go with. We could also take our ability improvement and bump up our dexterity a bit, but I think that's great. Also, Alert is great, giving us a +5 to initiative. As we're a ranger, we're going to have a bit of crowd control and damage, and we can hit from a range, so that can be really great as well. But I think that Sharpshooter just very powerful. You can also toggle off the penalty to your attack rolls, but you lose that +10 damage. We're going to be doing area of effect damage, so that's what makes that so powerful. At level 5, we get our extra attack, which is nice, and then we get our level 2 spell slot. So for our next spell, we can go with something like Dark Vision, but I have a ring that allows that. Spike Growth can be really nice for crowd control. Long Strider, so either one of these two. I'm going to go with this just to have a level 2 spell, but then next I'll probably take the Long Strider there, as it's just a great thing to have for ritual. Movement is king in this, in the action economy, you want to have that prepared. For our next option here, Ranger Knight to give us proficiency in heavy armor can be great, especially if you want something different for armor, but I'm going to get into armor at the end, and what I'm using for dexterity build seems to work really great. Give us a resistance to fire damage is kind of nice. A Wasteland Wanderer is good. You can also go with the Urban Tracker, gives you sleight of hand, which is good for picking locks, but you might have a rogue with you. Resistance to cold and fire is great though, so we'll go with that. And into our next level, Ranger level 7, we're gonna get our get another spell here to choose. So for this spell, you could go with Pass Without Trace, but I think that Long Strider is one of the better ones. And Enhanced Sleep can be pretty good too, but We're going to go with the long strider. Since this lasts until long rest, it gives us a nice boost. Sort of defensive tactics is another option that we got here. So opportunity attacks against you have disadvantage. That can be nice, but we're typically going to be not getting hit with a lot of opportunity attacks. You can always see when you're going to get hit with one. Your unshakable resolve grants you advantage on saving throws against being frightened. That can be pretty useful because being frightened is not great. But multi-attack defense, when an enemy attacks you, they have a -4 penalty to additional attack rolls against you until the start of their next turn. This can be just good for overall reducing the amount of damage that you're going to end up taking. So go with either escape the horde, opportunity attacks, but that's one that you can avoid yourself. If you find that you've been frightened a lot, Steel Will can be useful, but there's some things in Act 3 that you get that will prevent frightened. So multi-attack defense is great, just for the reduction in damage that we're going to be taking overall. Now at Ranger level 8, this is when we get our ability to go over difficult terrain and not be slowed down by it. That can be nice just for setting up. And then we also get our next feat. So we could go with a few different things here, but I do think that ability improvement is probably our best option here. So give us a plus 3 to wisdom checks and +4 to dexterity checks. We'd even bump that up to 19 if you wanted to, but it's better to leave them on even numbers to get that rounded off. Next, we'll go into our level 9 here. We got 2 more. We're going to go to level 11 Ranger, and then you're going to see what we got going on here. We get our level 3 spells here. So Conjure Barrage, channel your weapon's essence into a destructive widespread volley. That can be pretty great. Electric or Lightning Arrow can be another good option, but we're going to go with Conjure Barrage. And then accept that for the level. At level 10, we're very close to getting this Hunter build fully coming together. For our Hide in Plain Sight class action, camouflage yourself with an environment, become invisible. Gain a +10 bonus to stealth checks as long as you stand still. Enough said, that's pretty good. Invisibility is great, as if you're low on health, it can help you with survivability, but you can also get critical hits. We can even go 1 level of Rogue, but I'm going to do something a little different here. Now, our favorite enemy here, we got proficiency in religion, cast Sacred Flame can be okay. I don't really like True Strike. Advantage of your next attack roll is not really that great. Protection from good and evil can be okay. So really whatever you prefer between those two. For our Natural Explorer, we're going to go with the Cold Resistance, because that's just a nice thing to have overall. Or if you find you can hit with poison a lot, we can go with that one as well. So really whatever you find for your playthrough. And then Ranger level 11. This is where we get some really nice stuff. So as you can see here, we get Volley and Whirlwind Attack. These are OP. And the reason that the Hunter's so good, because this is exclusive to the Hunter. Strike out at all nearby foes, making separate attack rolls against each target. What's cool about this is if you have damage riders like the Acid Band, that's going to add the Acid attack to all of them. And then the Volley for our Hunter attack here. This attacks a large area of effect, and all your damage riders will apply to it. So very, very useful. Level 3 spell, I'll use Lightning Arrow. Plant Growth can be okay, but we're going to be moving around a lot anyways. I've found with my experimenting that Plant Growth is good, but I find that typically the AI avoids that. So we're going to go with this. That seems to be the strongest. The Volley seems to be quite strong, especially depending on your gear, which I will get into. Now for level 12, we can get an extra feat. That's nice. We can take our dexterity up to 20. So this all depends. Do you want 20 dexterity, or would you like to add in the cleric subclass war domain, giving us nice Shield of Faith, but also Divine Favor. It's a concentration that'll add 1 to 4 radiance damage, which is a nice damage rider. As I said, Volley, super useful, so you can have a nice 1d4 to all of that. For our cantrips, take whatever you need. Blade Ward can be okay. Thaumaturgy gives you advantage on intimidation, performance checks, resistance, and guidance. Guidance is just overall nice to have. You're not going to be casting that a lot as a ranger, but take whatever deity you want. I just like Garl Glitter Gold. It's just funny. We'll go with that. And prepared spells. Guiding Bolt can be decent, but we got a bow that's going to give us Guiding Bolt anyways. Still going to just take it just for something to take, but What I like to have is Healing Word, heal a creature you can see. The reason that this is so nice is the fact that if you have a downed partner, you can use this from a range to revive them. And that's really great. So you don't have to get in close to your teammate to get them back to life. Guiding Bolt can be okay. Bless can be okay. Command is a really great option to go with as well. Sanctuary, you're now like cannot be targeted until you attack or harm a creature. You can still take damage from area spells. This can be a really great bonus action just to have. Create or destroy water as well. It does take an action, but if you have someone that's going to deal cold damage or electricity damage, it'll make them take more damage, so that can be good as well. But I think that these are kind of the best here. Now, the reason we're adding War Cleric as a class feature, we get the where is it? There we go. War Priest. When you make an unarmed or weapon attack, you'd spend a War Priest charge to make an additional attack as a bonus action. So we're going to be attacking a lot. This is much better than the feat that you would get otherwise. So I think that that works pretty great for it. And we'll get into gear here now. So volley and whirlwind attack. This is great. So you can see that area effect is really large. And then for volley, look at that. That's actually, like, people don't realize that, but that can hit a lot of enemies. It's bigger. I'd say it's about the same size as fireball, but higher percent chance of hitting. And it'll end up dealing probably more damage depending on how you build your character. So getting into gear, the Assassin of Baldur is great to get in Act 3. You can see in the dark up to 3 meters and you gain a +2 to initiative. And you get to see invisibility spell, so that's why we took darkness there. And we get the Shade Slayer Cloak, which gives us, whenever we're hiding, the number you need to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1. So we do have that that ability to turn invisible, which is super useful because we can see invisible creatures and we can turn invisible ourselves with the hide in plain sight, so we can get that extra critical chance from a volley. Incredibly powerful. Ballast armor, enemies within 2 meters become vulnerable to piercing damage, which is what we're dealing with our weapons. I'm taking the piercing knife here and another piercing weapon, and the bow is obviously piercing too, so very useful if someone comes close to you. Gloves of missile snaring, you can go with something like the gloves of dexterity or the strength gauntlets, but this one's just decent because it takes your dexterity modifier. Dimension Door Shape Hunt Boots is great because Dimension Door can you can zip around the battlefield, and that's what you want as a ranger. It's very useful to have, so I like that. Amulet of Ball is nice because we're typically going to be going first with our increased initiative. And on hit, you get bleeding to enemies, so useful. Caustic Band. This is really useful, especially, as I mentioned, you want as many damage riders as you can because we're going to be hitting large areas of effect. So this gives you a +2 acid damage to every single attack. Super useful. And then the Killer Sweetheart, when you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. Very powerful as well. And in terms of rings, we can also go with, there's a couple other options that are great for the Ranger. I'm trying to see here. Jump can be okay. Risky Ring is nice. You get advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on saving throws. As a ranger, you're going to be attacking more than you're going to be getting hit, so that can be another option that's great as well. For weapons, I got the Knife of the Undermountain King. Reduce the number you need to roll a critical hit when attacking by 1. This can stack. And Shadow Blade, you have an advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily escarped targets while using this blade. So we have the darkness, we have the ability to turn invisible. Like, we got a lot of different options here. And for a Rhapsody here, we get a +1 to attack rolls, damage, and spell save DC for every foe you slay up to a maximum of +3. And possibly inflict bleeding when hitting a target against this weapon while hiding or invisible. So we got lots of bleed damage going on. This is an Elden Ring, but bleed is still quite useful. And for our bow, the Goner Mail, this is very powerful. I like dual hand crossbows for a sharpshooter, but this changed my mind. This gives us the ability to inflict guiding bolt on the target, which gives us advantage on our next attack against them. This object shines with a glowing light with a radius of 6 meters, so we're going to be glowing. We also get Celestial Haste, which is just basically haste for 5 turns. And we can just use this every long rest as an action. This gives us an extra action, so extremely useful. We're going to pop that and then just do a bunch of volleys with our weapon. Crazy, crazy powerful. So this gets wild. And then we also get the Bolt of Celestial Light. Frightens your target with an intimidating arrows. After attacking ranged weapon attacks made by this, deal an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage. So you can hit a boss with this and then volley, volley, volley. after having your haste set up, this build is incredibly powerful and has great synergy in a team because it kind of works similar to how mages would work, like a wizard or a sorcerer, but we're a ranger dealing physical damage, so can be great. And there's a variety of different spells that we got to deal damage with. We got Lightning Arrow if you need to have some lightning damage. We got Conjure Barrage. And all of these are going to be taking that plus acid damage. So very, very useful. This can be an extremely overpowered class in Baldur's Gate 3. So I just want to make this build guide to help you guys out. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. It helps me grow my channel, and I really appreciate the support. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.